Hi, fans of high quality entertainment. Thanks for all of the recent comments on my Jack Black and Tenacious D video and the one before that. I really do appreciate all the comments and the likes, and please make sure you're subscribed. Thank you. And I'm doing a live chat this Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so I hope you can join me. So this video is on either a solo artist or a band that only released one album. What's that all about? And I've made a list of albums that aren't in my CD collection, so I'm not going to be reviewing or ranking them. But they include the Sex Pistols, never mind the Bullocks. I did have it on CD. I had the deluxe version maybe about 5 years ago, and then it's gone. I don't know what happened to it. I think Glenn Kellaway from the Basement stole them. I think that's what happened. He's a huge Sex Pistols fan. And then there's, of course, Jeff Buckley's Grace, which is an excellent album. I just don't own it. Mother Love Bone, Lauryn Hill, Temple of the Dog, Them Crooked Vultures, which I did hear in an album exchange, and I really did like that album. Of course, Eric and the Dominoes with Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. The Modern Lovers, which, of course, after that, Jonathan Richman went on a solo career. Coverdale Page, they only made one album. Then Jeff Bogert and Apix. The United States of America. I actually just did an album reaction on my Patreon for that album. It was released, I believe, in the late 60s, and it was quite interesting. I did like it. And Dennis Wilson, the drummer for the Beach Boys. He only released one, I know he released, there was another album after that, but that was sadly after he had passed away. But he was working on a second album. Pacific Ocean, was it that called? Pacific Ocean Blue? Yes, from 1977. And I've heard that. I don't, like I said, I don't own any of these albums right now, but some of them are excellent. Now, I've got a list of 10, and two that kind of almost made my list, but in a way it's not really an album that was, well, for this one, it was never really released until years later, but it is their first album. Blue Oyster Cult and Stock Forest Group, which is I was really impressed with this. But of course, the actual album was never released at the time. So their first true album is called, of course, Blue Oyster Cult. But if you're a Blue Oyster Cult fan, I highly recommend this album. And what about the Ruddles? I consider this their only album, but I know later on, a few years later, they released a second one, which was kind of a send-off on the Beatles anthology, which I've never heard, but I haven't included the Ruddles. But this is, I consider, their one and only true album, and it's a great one. And this is the expanded version of the original album. Look at all those hit songs. And I think my favorite is Piggy in the Middle, if I had to choose one. Okay, so here we go. Now, these aren't ranked yet, but I'm going to show you what I have. And I looked through my whole CD collection, and these are the ones I came up with. The One and Only Album by Judy Henske and Jerry Yester, Farewell Aldebaran. I remember buying this in a cutout bin in probably, the early 70s, and kind of like it's not one I love. I only play this maybe once a year, but it's, like from that time period of the late 60s, early 70s, psychedelic folk music. They are there. And of course, the psychedelic cover, which I love. This band only released one album way, way, way back in 1966. Monks, Black Monk Time. Includes the great songs Shut Up, Boys Are Boys and Girls Are Choice, and Piggledy Piggledy, and I Hate You, and Drunken Maria. Yeah, I'll talk a bit more about them when I'm doing my ranking. There they are. The one and only album by a collaboration between two bands, and it is Franz Ferdinand and Sparks with their FFS album. And I did see them in concert on their tour, and they were excellent. No surprise. Bill Collins was in a band before Genesis. I bet you didn't know that. Yeah. Flaming Youth, their one and only album, Arc 2. There's Phil right there. Back. So yeah, I'll talk about each of these albums when I do my ranking. Now this is uh, it was kind of stupid to name them this because it was basically Yes, but because of uh, copyright and all that crap, they called it Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe. The one and only album by the supergroup Blind Faith. Thankfully, the only album by Lou Reed and Metallica. Actually, no, seriously, I did a Does This Album Suck video on my other channel 3, 4 years ago. And I listened to the whole album and it didn't suck. It was, it's not I'm a huge Lou Reed fan and I respect Metallica. It's never going to be my favorite Lou Reed album, but I thought it was good overall. Yes, some of these I had to double check to make sure it was the only album that they released. They might have a second album, but it's more a compilation. So their one true and only album, The Great Shakes with Philosophy of the World. You talk about cool. Yeah, and this is the only album by, I know he released other solo albums, but this is the only one that is called Lord Sutch and Heavy Friends. And you can see with Jimmy Page, John Bonham, Jeff Beck, Noel Redding, and Nicky Hopkins. And finally, the one, and once again, he did release another album, but it wasn't a stripped solo album. Or actually, I don't know, it wasn't even released. So this is his one and only true solo picture. And back to Yes Again, the one, the only solo album by this great artist, Chris Squire, Fish Out of Water. What a great album. And I have not played this in over a year at least. And I need to play it again because it is really good. All right, now I'm going to rank them. Okay, so number 10 is The Shakes, Philosophy of the World. In case you don't know, they basically could not play their instruments, and they were bad, and they couldn't really sing or put together a song properly. But I'll play this, maybe once a year or so, and it is endearing because there's such an innocence to the music. And Frank Zappa said they are better than the Beatles. So maybe they are. Yeah, in a way, it's kind of like Rope Mask Replica. The first time you hear that, it's like, oh, that's bad. And same thing with the Shags. But once you get used to the way that they play, like I said, it is, I'm not saying it's good, but it's entertaining. Number 9, I don't mind this album. I once again, I might play it once a year if that. Uh, I like some songs more than others. Horses on a Stick, Snowblind, they're great. Judy Henske and Jerry Yester. Farewell, Elder Bear. Okay, 10, 9, number 8. I like this album. Flaming Youth, Arc 2, first album with Phil Collins, like I mentioned. And it's just a fun listen. The production isn't that great. That's the one thing against it. But I think there's some humor in it. It's like progressive pop rock. And Phil Collins does, besides playing the drums, he does sing on some of the tracks, and it's a good album. I would highly recommend. It's on YouTube. Check out the video for "Guide Me, Oriole" and changes. But yeah, I enjoy the whole album. And I bought this once again in a cutout bin in the early '70s, and I didn't know that was that Phil Collins was on the album until I bought the album and reading the credits. Phil Collins on drums and vocals. Number 7. Yes, this the vocals are bad, or not always bad, but not very good. But the music, it has to be good because Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck are on this, and John Bonham. Yeah, Nicky Hopkins on piano. Check out the song. The best song on this for me is "Flashing Lights" with some great slide guitar work by Jimmy Page. I should rank these. I'll rank this 5 out of 10. I'll rank this 6 out of 10. I'll rank this 7 out of 10. A very strong 7 out of 10. I'll rank this 7 out of 10. Number 6, Lou Reed and Metallica, Lulu. Yeah, it's, you know, like I said, it's never going to be my favorite Lou Reed related album, but it gets a lot of flack, and I do understand it, especially if you're a big Metallica fan and then you're hearing Lou Reed attempt to sing. But 7 out of 10. It's good. Once again, this one I don't play very often, but I do like it's Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman Howe. Very nice album cover by Roger Dean. It's basically a Yes album, though. But The Meeting, Brother of Mine. Yeah, I don't play this very often, so some of the songs I don't even recognize. But, I think it's a good album. Just, I would rather listen to other Yes-related albums than this. So, yeah, 7 out of 10. Number 4. This is the good stuff. Like I said, from 1966, this album is so far ahead of its time. It's like punk rock before punk rock. It's one of the band members plays the banjo. So I think Glenn would love this. Yeah, it's just a high energy, fun listen. And if you like punk music and a little craziness, I highly recommend it. It's just insane that this is from 1966. Okay, number 3. I know Morris Gautreaux, who has an excellent YouTube channel. He's a big fan of this album. Sparks and Franz Ferdinand, FFS. Excellent album. But once again, I would rather play a Sparks album than this. Like I said, I did see them in concert, and they played some Sparks songs and some Franz Ferdinand songs. They were excellent. Johnny Delusional is great. Call Girl, Police Encounters, The Man Without a Tan, Collaborations Don't Work. Yeah, excellent album. I would give this a 9 out of 10. Number 2. This is such a good album. Fish Out of Water. If you like John Anderson's first solo album, Olaus of Sun Hillow, you need to get this too. It is really good. I mean, it's Chris Squire, and he's a very good singer. Hold Out Your Hand is a great pop rock song, very, not necessarily prog, but a great pop rock song. But there is prog on this album, of course, no surprise, and production is excellent. And I highly recommend it if you're a Yes fan and you've never heard this. I know that Glenn Kellaway from the Basement is a big fan. Number 1, an album I've talked about dozens of times. Blind Faith, their one and only album, and it's honestly one of my all-time favorite albums. I've played this hundreds of times in my life, and I never, ever, ever get tired of it. I even love Do What You Like, which features a pretty long drum solo. And drum solos on studio albums usually are kind of boring, but not for me with this album. Yeah, Had to Cry Today, Can't Find My Way Home, Well, All Right, Presence of the Lord, Sea of Joy, and Do What You Like. Love it. And that is it. I would love your thoughts on any of these albums and maybe other ones where, a band or a solo artist only released one album and it's a favorite of yours. Let me know in the comments section below. And please check out the playlist. And remember, live chat this Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Thank you. Bye.